Patrick Byrne, CEO of Overstock. Thanks so much for your time.
Rhonda, glad to be on, thanks.
A lot to talk about with Overstock, and let's start with something that you've done very recently, and that is you're issuing the first ever crypto security, as you call it, essentially a digital corporate bond. What's behind the decision to launch this?
Well, the bond we actually don't need. It's just to prove that the piping works on the system we've created. We've taken the technology that underlies Bitcoin, which generically think of it as the crypto tech revolution or crypto technology, and we have started building things that replace what Wall Street does. Now it does them, and it does them far cheaper and with far more transparency and without any of the opportunity for rigging that anyone who hasn't been under a rock for the last 8 years. It has become evident that our market gets rigged in various ways by various players. In the world of a crypto Wall Street, crypto stock market, you'd have to rig the laws of mathematics to play the kinds of games that have been going on. So we are building module by module, something that replaces, to be honest, NYSE, let's say augments, NYSE, NASDAQ, the DTCC, parts of the brokerage system, leaves a lot of the broker, but we built it to leave the brokerage system intact. So it's an extraordinarily disruptive technology, and we're just sort of taking a strategy of walk, or crawl, walk, run. Crawl, we're issuing a private crypto bond. You have seen that we have applied to the SEC a shelf that, an S3, that would someday permit us, if we choose, to go forward and issue a public crypto security. And then there's actually other modules that we're bringing online as well this summer.
Why is this important to you at Overstock? Is this a growth area for the company, or is this more of an interest that you have?
Well, I think it's a combination of both. I think it's an extraordinary opportunity for Overstock. We see where 2/3 of the money is made on Wall Street is made in an area that I think ultimately can be disrupted. And of course, it is a personal interest. You may be aware for 10 years, 10 years ago, I came out and made some very bold claims. We went public in '02, and when you're a public company CEO, you're out there mixing it up with hedge funds and prime brokers and regulators and stuff. And by '04, I was really smelling skunk. I knew there was a bunch of bad stuff going on. I started talking about it publicly. I became the object of a sort of a mass Wall Street, campaign of spin and vilification and distortion of everything I said. And then '08 came, and everything I said happened, and everyone sort of, the cone of silence descended over me. Well, I still have this interest in cleaning up Wall Street. And if the SEC, which I do think is better than it was, but ultimately my claim 10 years ago was the SEC was the handmaiden of Wall Street. So I'm going to be very interested to see whether they should welcome this. It does their job for them. All kinds of games that they're in the business of preventing, this fixes. But the theory of regulatory capture is that the regulators are there to they work for the industry, and they're actually there to prevent competition. So it's going to be a real gut check for the SEC to decide whether this goes forward or not. But fortunately, I can tell you, A, we think that we can do all this legally with all the approvals we have, and B, foreign nations, Europe and in Asia, are pounding on our door to get involved in this. So if the US government really tried to stop it, I'm just taking it to Asia or Europe, and people are pounding to get involved.
So are those other CEOs or people within the financial industry?
Other CEOs and beyond, other major corporations. Everybody gets on Wall Street. In the last 2 months, Jamie Dimon wrote a letter to shareholders, the head of JP Morgan, 2 months ago, wrote a letter to shareholders who said, Silicon Valley's come to eat our lunch. Wall Street's really just a bunch of fintech businesses. It's financial technology. Wall Street is no longer Jimmy Stewart sitting and looking at you, deciding if you can handle a bigger mortgage. It's all computers and code. That's Wall Street. And somebody else who does computers and code quite well is Silicon Valley. And so we are coming, and Jamie Dimon freaked out 2 months ago. Since then, there's been sort of this mass freak out on Wall Street. Goldman's trying to invest. Well, they went out the next week and invested in a crypto company in Silicon Valley. UBS, CSFB, all these major companies are trying to get into this area, making announcements. NASDAQ, and we have it. We're about a year ahead of everybody, as far as I can tell.
What's the name of it?
Well, we call this project Medici, but the company that's going to come to Wall Street is T0.com. T0.com. Which will have a meaning to a lot of your viewers.
What's the timing for this?
Well, over, in the near future. Over the course of the summer.
Patrick Byrne of Overstock, thank
you
so much for your time.
Thank you.